Assalamualaikum and a very good day everyone, especially to Dr. Lenora. So today we are from Group T and we will present about our marketing research report, factors that increase the use of self-service technology during the post-COVID-19 in the food and beverage industry in Malaysia. I am Emilia.
My name is Nur Akila binti Ismail.
I am Azamuddin.
And my name is Amirul Izham.
We will proceed with the chapter 1, which is the introduction. Background of study. So the increasing percentage of COVID-19 transmission has culminated in the closure of numerous countries and widespread social restrictions. So to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, the Malaysian government has issued the MCO, Movement Control Order, on March 2020 to increase social separation and constrain the virus transmission rate. So people are now apprehensive about having to mingle with other people face to face after the MCO was lifted. And as a result, when shopping for groceries or ordering meals, people prefer to avoid making direct contact with others. Next, this is our problem statement, as you can see in the slide. So there are actually consumers learn to minimize social interaction by adopting a variety of contactless self-service technology. For example, we have Chili's and McDonald's, which they introduced their self-service kiosks. Next, as you can see in the slide, this is our gap of study and also purpose of study. So COVID-19 has irrevocably altered how we shop for food and conduct product research and also conduct business. So long before COVID-19, large fast food businesses and quick service restaurants already implement the self-ordering kiosks. And following the aftermath of COVID-19, the goal of our research is to assess the perceived prevalence of social distancing, perceived susceptibility, efficiency, convenience, and customer experience that contributed to an increase in the usage of SST in Malaysia food and beverage industry. Next, we developed over 5 research objectives. The first one is to explore the relationship between the perceived prevalence of social distancing and the increasing use of self-service technology, followed by to investigate the relationship between perceived susceptibility and the rising use of self-service technology, and to study the relationship between efficiency and increase the use of self-service technology. And the fourth one is to explore the relationship between convenience and also the growing usage of SST. And lastly, to analyze the relationship between customer experience while using self-service technology. Next. And this is our research question. The first one is, has the perceived prevalence of social distancing encouraged the adoption of self-service technology? Does perceived susceptibility influence the rising adoption of self-service technology? And the third one is, does the rising use of self-service technology in Malaysia food and beverage industry have an impact on efficiency? And has the convenience of use of self-service technology expanded its use in Malaysia food and beverage industry during post-COVID-19? And lastly, how does customer experience give a considerable influence on self-service technology in Malaysia food beverage industry during the post-COVID-19? Next, this is our significance of study and also scope of study. So this study provides solid guidance for other business considering implementing self-service kiosks in their commercial operation. The findings could ultimately help the food and beverage industry construct and operate self-service kiosks in restaurants to improve customer dining experience and loyalty. Next, the limitation of our study is we actually have 14 weeks to complete this study, and also only a small number of past studies are identical to subject on which we conducted, and most previous research is focused solely on the period preceding and following COVID-19. Thank you, and I'll pass to the next presenter.
Thank you to Emilia. And the next is the literature review in the chapter 2. This literature review that consists of 5 independent variables, which are perceived prevalence of social distancing, susceptibility, efficiency, convenience, and customer experience. All right, the first is perceived prevalence social distancing. It's where people keep their distance from each other so they cannot spread the disease, even if they try to join any mass gathering event, such as having a dining with a family or in a closed place. Or let me give you an example, such as in the F&B industry, they nowadays use a barcode scanner for smart menu, and scanning, it can scan. So second is perceived susceptibility, which is where people are aware of the danger of COVID-19 and they worry about how serious the outcome will be. And people are motivated to protect themselves. So instantly they will use the self-service technology. And for the example, it's like a service kiosk on the McDonald's that have solved the problem of many people that scared to face while ordering their food. And the third is efficiency. Efficiency is where you can skip your waiting time because before this, the customer need to stand in queue for a long period of you no longer need to wait, and it simply decrease the usual waiting time. And also, let me give you the example. It is the vending machine that where you can simply just need to order with a contactless with other people. And the fourth is convenience. It is where customers can control their order and do any convenient tasks just by their fingertips. Which is during post-pandemic, the easy payment in the main point of using self-service technology, which is the interactive kiosk, where this system, also known as quick service restaurant, which is QSR. And the last variable is the customer experience, which is this variable is related to a favorable experience when the customer using the SST on their daily basis. Especially during post-pandemic, many interactive SST that make happy to use it and has increased the customer experience in the meantime. And that's all from literature review. We go for the next chapter.
Next, I will present for the chapter 3, which is the research methodology. For the third chapter, I will explain for the research design, sampling design. As for the research design, which is the first part in the research methodology, we had chose to use quantitative research to collect the data from the respondents. And quantitative research is the process of collecting and analyzing the data that are in the form of numerical and can be counted. Using quantitative research, the data can be collected through questionnaire, surveys, and polls. And as for our sampling design, we had determined to use Malaysian citizens as our population and narrow the population to 200 respondents that are between the age of 18 to 55 years old. This group of age are mostly undergraduate or university students in the area of Klang Valley. As for the sampling techniques, we use convenience sampling that are under category of non-probability sampling, which the respondents are selected randomly from the population. We had created a questionnaire using a Google form where we use 5-point Likert scale to measure the level of agreement by the respondents toward our research question. We sorted the level from strongly disagree to strongly agree using scale from 1 to 5. After collecting the data from the respondent, SPSS, or known as statistical package for social sciences, are used to analyze the descriptive data that had been collected. SPSS will help in prediction of the value of the dependent variables and independent variables, as well as assist in supporting the hypothesis and construct a recommendation for future research. Next, I will go for the chapter 4, which is data analysis. Demographic profile that we had analyzed is part is the gender, age, occupation, and level of education. As for gender, both male and female almost come to average percentage, where female are 56.9% and as for male are 43.1%. 74.1% of the group age are between the age of 18 to 24 years old, where most respondents between this age are the undergraduate students, followed by the age group between 25 to 30 years old and 41 years old and above are 10.9% and 10.3%. The lowest percentage that we gain are 4.6%, which are the group age between 35 to 40 years old. Next is for the occupation. According to the table shown in this slide, as we targeted respondents from undergraduate students, the percentage for the occupation analyzed is the highest, which is 71.3%. And as for the level of education, we received 76.4% of undergraduate students who lend their hands to help us in completing our research question. Next, I will pass for behavioral pattern analysis to Azam.
All right. Thank you, Akila. So now I will present for the behavioral. So as the table shows that the knowledge of the respondents toward the existence of self-service technology SST in Malaysia is about 87%, and or 174 respondent knowledge the existence of SST in Malaysia, and for the rest is 26 respondent doesn't know the existing of SST in Malaysia. from 200 respondents, only 174 respondents are acknowledged the existence of SST in Malaysia, and they will get to the next question, which is the frequency of using SST service. So from 174 respondents, the result shows that the most of respondents have used once of SST service, which is result 98.9%, and the lowest percentage of the respondent is 1.1% that never used the SST. So next. So to obtain more study about the uses of ST in FMB, respondent matches which one of FMB industry that they discover using the SST as one of their service. For example, the FMB businesses that using SST respondent, which is Family Mart, KFC, McDonald's, restaurant, and Mama Store. So on the figure shown at the slide, the majority of respondents found SST service in FMB businesses. So McDonald's has the large population of respondents, which is 66.7%, since it's the most popular F&B restaurant in Malaysia that use self-service kiosks. So followed by the Family Mart, which is 40.9%, and then KFC, which is 8%, and the restaurant, which is 174 respondents, which is 9.8% are using the SST. Meanwhile, for the Mamak stall, only 0.6. So the majority of respondents, which is 95.4%, agree that SST service are friendly, as they select yes to indicate agreement with the statement, which is only a small percentage of respondents, which is 8% say no, as they do not think that SST service are user friendly for some reason. So next we move on to the reliability analysis. All right, so based on the table on the slide, it shows that the result of the reliability test for perceived prevalence of social testing is about 0.8 to 1%, followed by the perceived acceptability, which is 0.443%, efficiency is 0.856, and convenience is 0.823, and the last one is the customer experience, which is 0.879. The next. So from the table, the descriptive analysis shows that the highest mean value is 4.238, represent the variable of efficiency. This means seems that the most of respondent agrees to with the statement given in the questionnaire. Most of the respondent claim that self-service technology is high level of efficiency, followed by customer experience, which is 4.216. Convenience is 4.129. Perceived prevalence of social distancing is 3.800. So why the lowest mean value perceived accessibility, which means the most of the respondents are not agree with the statement given in the questionnaire regarding the factor that increase of the use SST in Malaysia during the COVID. So next we will. So for the multi-regression analysis, it shows that the R squared in the preceding table is around 57% of independent variable or perceived prevalent of social distancing, followed by perceived accessibility, efficiency, convenience, and customer experience, while 43% are derived from other variable. Furthermore, the F value is greater than 1.0, indicating that the outcome of this model summary is significant. So we can conclude that the whole model seems similarly significant and was evaluated using ANOVA. So for the ANOVA test, we can see on the slide that which is that the perceived social distance, perceived accessibility, efficiency coefficients, and customer experience are significant to the dependent variable, which is the use of SST during post-COVID-19 if MMB result 0.001. So for the coefficient analysis, on the table shows that the p-value for convenience is 0.002 and customer experience is 0.001, and the lower of significant level of 0.04. So this indicating that two independent variables have a strong relationship, which the use of SST in Malaysia's industry, which is the dependent variable. So since the p-value is larger than 0.05, the perceived prevalent of social distancing indicate to 0.074, followed by perceived stability, which is 0.638. Efficiency is 0.315, that are irrelevant to the dependence variable. So as a result, the perceived prevalence of social distancing, accessibility, and efficiency have been excluded from the research, which standardized coefficients of 0.348. So we next for the correlations. The correlation analysis, we can see on the table at the slide, which is the researchers discover that greatest relationship among variables see between efficiency and customer experience with a value of 0.796. And the least effective relationship among variable is between perceived accessibility and the use of self-service technology itself, which is the value is 0.425. The higher of the correlation coefficient approaches is 1. So the greatest the correlations. So go for the next presenter.
All right, and the next is finding and discussion, which is this is the about the relationship between the all of the variables to the dependent variable. All right, the first is the relationship between the perceived prevalence of social distancing to the DV, which is the social distancing has made a clear justification that this variable has a significant influence toward the dependent variable. And this is because when they want to keep their distance from each other, including activities to buy a food, they have no other choice but to use the as them from being affected by COVID. And the customer or people will feel the urge to make sure they do not exceed the boundaries of each other distance, so they will adapt with the use of SST. And the next is the relationship between of perceived susceptibility and the DV, which is the perception of susceptibility has a significant influence toward the DV, where it happens due to people being scared or getting their life in the danger situation such as a COVID-19 infection, and people will do anything to prevent them from getting infected by utilizing the self-service technology. For example, the self-service kiosk where they will order the food with a contactless between with other people. And the third is the relationship between the efficiency and the increased use of the SST, which is to the DV, which is the efficiency also generate a significant and positive influence on the DV, where before this, people usually made a face-to-face transaction, but after the service technology emerged, people tend to rely more on this technology. And the fourth is the relationship between convenience and the growing usage of the SST, which is to the DV. Okay, the growing usage of the SST has become a very significant influence to the dependent variables. This is especially when in the F&B industry where people love to use the easy payment, is the which is the using and the using of the interactive kiosk, where the system is also known as the quick service restaurant, which is QSR. And people say that it is more comfortable and traditional counter service based on the question is more comfortable than the traditional counter because yeah, it's more easy to use. This is based on the questionnaire that have been distributed. And the last is the relationship between the customer experience to the dependent variable, which is the customer experience too has a prominent significant relationship towards the dependent variable. This is because when people say that self-service technology are very understandable and easy to use, this is based on their past experience after they answer the survey. And also, they said that this technology is very reliable and trustworthy. Maybe because the improvement of the current technology have come up with a more strict security, since many classified data were stored in the cloud space. That's all from this part. We go for the next part.
Thank you, Izham. So now I'll proceed with the last part, which is recommendations. So the first recommendations that we would suggest for our study is to widen the sample size of our respondents. So a sample size with addition into 300 samples should be considered, since our research is focusing only on 200 samples only. So the larger the sample size, the more accurate data will be collected and easily to interpret. So the next one is to conduct the survey in less fast-changing economicity where subjects are associated with technological devices. So the less fast-changing cities usually are more advanced and adopt a contemporary way of living where they are common and used to self-service technology. Next. All right. So the third one is to establish a multilingual survey to the respondent. unfortunately, old people around 40 years old and above certainly don't understand English unless it has stated together with the language that they commonly use. For example, since our research is conducted in Selangor, so Bahasa Melayu is really suitable for them. They can avoid the difficulties to understand the language to answer the survey. And lastly, to make sure the research is carried out with an ethical manner. So the ethical manner is the main role to discipline researchers who will lead the study. So they need to obey and follow the guideline to make sure the research study is conferred with quality criteria. So and an ethical manner such as fabrication and plagiarism will usher in bad impact. All right. With that, thank you so much for listening to our presentation.